This is already all red Loctited up. You need to Loctite this in real good. So if the bulb gets stuck and you undo the bulb, it doesn't undo this. So I'm going to put the rest of it together with red Loctite, and I'll be right back and show you. Here's one all Loctited up, ready to go. Now you want to line this up whichever way you're going to face it. You can face it inside or you can face it outside. There's a set screw right there, so you put it where you want it, tighten it up, you're good to go. This is a test. I'm going to see how warm it gets, make sure it works, and just plug the wires right into the outlet, no big deal. Don't electrocute yourself. I use very high quality bulbs in these lamps because they don't burn out as often. And that bulb right there is about 17 bucks. Loctite, it's your friend. Well, I use high quality bulbs in some lamps. Some of them I use cheapos. But this is an expensive lamp, and it's going to retail for probably about 1,200 bucks. So, you know, I want to make sure people are not going to have a bulb that burns out after a week. This is a piece of 3-inch pipe, and I've drilled and tapped all the holes on a rotary table. I painted the inside white so I get more light out of it. So this part goes in like that. So I'll screw it in and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, it's held in with 3 screws. And there it is. And I left this ring around the bottom here unpainted because I don't want people to see the paint easily from the outside of the light. This pipe, you often get it, it's going to be scratched, dinged up a little bit, but you don't want to ding it up any more than it is, and you want to protect it to help keep it from getting dinged up. So this pipe has 2 or 3, I forget how many, coats of, I believe this is satin, clear satin enamel. Okay, liberal use of red Loctite. Remember, Loctite's your friend, especially on these pipes, because you know the threads don't always line up when they're tightened the way you want them to line up. So you want to have the option to use them a little bit loose if you have to. I tap these holes as deep as I can with the tap, and wherever possible, like on this T-fitting right there, I'll take and tap these holes again after I get them, because usually they're only tapped halfway deep as far as the tap will go, and I want the threads to go up in there as far as they can, especially on these short nipples, because they look better if you don't have threads showing. So I tap them deep, put in the pipe, and then when you get to these parts, you have to take a lot of care to get these straight. If you're a little bit out, like you can see this one is, when you get it together and all the Loctite's dry, you're going to have a hard time getting them apart, putting on new Loctite, and getting them in straight. So it's important that you put them in straight when you put them in the first time, so you don't have to do it again. And this, I've left this loose until I'm ready to tighten the lock screw that I've got back here. Okay, so I've got it on the table, and this will work in this instance, and it might not work all the time because you might have stuff in the way, but that piece of pipe, you know, it's flat on the table, so this piece of pipe should line up so that it's parallel with the table. And if this is parallel with the table, it's straight. So I'm going to fiddle with that a little bit off camera. This is the base, and it is a New Orleans water meter cover, bought new off the internet, and they sell these. The reason they started was people were always stealing the covers down in New Orleans. I don't think they even use these anymore for new covers when they replace them, because people kept stealing them. But they decided to start selling them to try and make it so if a person really wanted one, they didn't have to steal them. They could just buy one off the internet. They're about 40 bucks. I don't know if that includes shipping or not. That piece of pipe right there is welded in. I'll drill a hole. I'll weld that sucker in with nickel 99. And it's not a pretty weld, but it'll hold. You know, if you want pretty welds, you gotta go see Jody, the welder, on YouTube. And I mill these flat so that they're flat on the table. They'll have little pieces of fuel hose, automotive fuel hose, glued down there onto them. It's the best thing I've found to use to cushion these things so they don't scratch the furniture. Now I'll take this, put it on that 1/2 inch piece. It's just, I like using 3/4 for the upright. And this will go on. I'll pull the cord through there. Put that on there. stick this in here. I've run a tap, like I said, all the way down as I can. The full length of the tap into this. And the elbows, you can't get them all the way down in, but you can get them almost all the way down in. That way, when I screw it down, you won't see a bunch of threads here. Okay, I'll bring you back in a few minutes. Okay, we're moving along. We got all the Trident lights stuck in there. Once you get the first one in straight, it gets a little harder to straighten them like I showed you before, because you don't really have a lot of room. So what you can do, say I'm putting in this one, and this is the one that I know is straight. Okay, so I can take a piece of paper or something, put it behind there, and just eyeball it up. Okay, I can see I'm out just a little bit. So I'll give that a little squeak, get it nice and straight. Actually, it's not too bad. Your eye is the most useful instrument you have for determining straightness. Sure, you can use a lot of other things, but if you look at it and it looks straight, then it probably is straight. Okay, I'll get back here in a few minutes and we'll install this onto the base. Okay, I went ahead and installed this elbow, and the piece of napkin, just so I can use this piece of pipe right here. It's not part of the lamp, it's just in there as a device to use to try and get that elbow in as straight as I can. And basically, and it's probably not the best example, but that's close. And just sight right down the edge of that thing, and that'll get you in the ballpark anyway. Hopefully it's straight enough that it'll work. Now, one thing I noticed about this Chinese pipe is the threads aren't put on straight all the time, and it can throw your lamps out. Now this piece of pipe right here, that's a made in USA pipe, because the Chinese ones, I'd put them in there and they were all cattywampus and they looked terrible. I tried 2 different pieces that I had and they both were, you know, skewed when you put them in there. So I got this piece of American pipe, I put it in there, and that'll work. That's a lot better. So okay, the next scene will be attaching this to the base. Okay, I have the reducer on there that goes from 3/4 down to 1/4. Now the fun part is going to be to fish this through the elbow, and that's going to be a little bit of finagle. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, and then I'll bring you back.